The most important part of text game occurs before you even get the girl's number, and that is having a good initial interaction with her. If you have a good initial interaction, you have this massive momentum that will carry through, and you can break almost all the rules in text game and still be successful. If you have a bad first interaction, you have to be dead solid perfect to get the girl out. Now, I have gotten girls out that didn't even remember who I was from the initial meeting, so it can be done, but you're much better off if things start on a positive note. And there are very few specific things that you can do that will make the interaction tremendously better. There are also a number of things you can do, even if the interaction itself is mediocre, to help you to sort of jumpstart the text sequence and jumpstart things forward in such a way that you'll be able to meet up with the girl very, very easily. So what I'm going to do over the next few videos is show you exactly what those steps are that can get things started on favorable terms and make everything else you do so much easier. First thing that you can do to make a number solid is to show the girl you actually care about getting to know her. And one of the best ways to do that is to stay 5 minutes, or as long as you can really, past the time that you actually exchange numbers. Think of it this way. If you get the number and leave immediately, it's like, got the number, got what I wanted, bye, see you later, sucker. That's what I call being the phone number bandit. It's like, yeah, I stole another phone number and ran with it. That doesn't convey a lot of comfort to the girl. That doesn't convey to the girl that you really enjoy hanging out with her, and that when you hang out later, it'll be really genuine and the get to know you stuff will go really well. So if you stay a little bit longer, it conveys, you really enjoy each other's company, and there's more sort of like genuineness there. Also understand that up until the moment that you got the number, you're sort of hanging out and talking as strangers. As soon as you've exchanged numbers, you're hanging out under the premise that you like each other and want to meet up again. Those next 5 minutes after you've gotten the number, therefore, are 5 minutes where you're already dating and you're getting to know each other under a very comfortable, very positive, very almost like loving premise. Okay, so I would say I'd rather have like a 5-minute interaction, get the number, and have 5 minutes after the number, and that would build a lot more comfort and connection than doing like a 30-minute interaction, getting the number, and just leaving right afterwards. The 5 minutes after are magnified in importance compared to the time before. So it's so critical, if you can, to spend that time afterwards. Now, there are times where that's not possible. Like, for example, if she's really in a rush and that's why you're getting the number instead of hanging out with her more, obviously you can't stay 5 more minutes in that context. And if you try and keep her 5 more minutes, that's actually not going to build any comfort. It's going to build discomfort because she'll realize you're not calibrated and you don't understand her world. So there are exceptions, but in general, if you can do it without it creating a lot of friction, or if you can do it in a fairly like normal way, staying a few minutes after getting the number is going to make a tremendous difference in the girls following up with you via text. The next thing that you can do to make a girl follow up with you via text is to show her she's actually special in the interaction. So your girl will give you the number because she's attracted to you, but she'll come hang out with you on a date because she feels comfortable and safe about doing so, right? If she feels like you would pick up any girl and treat them all the same and you're just in it for sex, she's not going to feel very comfortable and safe. If she feels like she's special or she won you over, she's going to feel like there's a connection there. She's going to feel like there's a lot of good possibilities there. It also kind of makes you seem more high value in the sense that you had standards and she had to win you over. So what I'm getting at here is something that we call qualifying, right? Qualifying the girl. It means showing the girl legitimate reasons why you like her, or ideally, having her show you legitimate reasons why you should like her, and then sort of agreeing to it. So for example, me, I like intelligent girls. So I might ask a girl like what she studied in college or something like that. And then she might tell me what it is. And then I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I'm fascinated by that, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? I thought you were just going to be like this ditzy, silly girl, but you're actually like quite educated and really think for yourself. I appreciate that. Right, so now what have I done? First of all, I asked her a qualifying question. I asked her a question that sort of made her jump through a hoop or made her prove herself to me. The fact that I care and have standards says that I'm a high value guy. But then the fact that she answered says she's investing in the conversation, she cares as well. And then the fact that I recognize something cool about her means that when I call her up or when I text her later, it's for a genuine reason. It's not just because I liked her ass. It's not just because I want to get her in bed. It's because we're actually going to have a good interaction. Girls do like sex, very, very much. But girls, the way they have sex isn't so much like, I'm turned on, let me have sex. They kind of want to have a process. They want to have an experience leading up to sex. And part of that experience is building a connection, having a genuine positive interaction with a guy. So the more that you convey that there's something special in the interaction, there's a genuineness, a positivity, the better off you're going to be. So again, qualify the girl. And that again means showing her reasons you like her, or even better yet, asking her reasons you should like her, and getting her to commit and invest. That commitment and investment actually matters tremendously as well. The next major step that you can take to make a girl actually follow up with you, text you back, that kind of stuff, is very simple, very technical. It has very little to do with actually even having good game. It's just taking care of your details. And that is, make sure you get your number saved in her phone, one way or another. There are a variety of ways to do this. One way to do it is to actually enter your number in her phone and text yourself. That's a really good way because you make sure that you get your number saved. You make sure that there's a text history, and that text history is actually her texting you, so that when you text her later, she sees that she's texted you. She knows that it's a valid sort of a thing, that she's participated in this interaction. She remembers you. She likes you. So that's one very simple way. Another way is to text her your name right then and there. It's a little bit less good in some ways in terms of getting the number in her phone, but it is very natural and smooth and very easy to do. So text her your name. You can even show it to her, make sure she saves it, that kind of stuff. If you really want to, and this definitely can be a good idea, if you happen to take a picture with the girl, something like that, you can text her that picture and use that as the premise for exchanging numbers, or use that as the way that she'll remember who you are. And especially if she sees you and her together having a good time, smiling, laughing, that kind of stuff, it's going to cement in her mind that you had that really great interaction with her. That way, she's feeling those emotions in the moment. Later on, when she's not necessarily feeling those emotions, it reminds her of how good it was. So it's absolutely critical that you do get your number in her phone, because if you don't, what's going to happen? You text and you're going to get back, who is this? Which is awkward. Now, a lot of times you can get through that. A lot of times text, who is this? You send a picture like, oh, hey, I remembered you, etc. But it's still way more awkward than if you had just texted and she knew you in the first place. It's also the fact that you had to text twice, show her who you are. It's a little bit try hard. It's a little more needy. It's less smooth. It's just not nearly as good. On top of which, sometimes she may not even remember properly. Let's say if she was drunk, or let's say if you forget to text her for a few days, and she's kind of had a lot of social experiences and stuff like that, the memory tends to fade over time. So you want to get that number in her phone when she really likes you, when it's kind of strike while the iron is hot and get things going. The other great thing about starting the text conversation right away, getting a number, having a text sent one way or the other, is that if you're texting back and forth, right then and there, you can even sometimes text her right back right then and there and have her text you back while you're still, before you've even left. And that'll create this vibe that it's normal and natural to text and there's already an ongoing interaction. The more you can create that, the better off you are. Okay, so very, very important to get your number in her phone so that she knows who you are, and also so that she recognizes you're someone she has a habit of texting with. You're someone who is in the category of guys I text back. Okay, very critical to do it. I really, really cannot overstate how important this actually is. The final, very easy, obvious thing that you can do to make text game go tremendously smoother is to establish the premise that you're going to hang out before you even get the text, or at least at the time of getting the number. Okay, so if you get the girl's number, you're talking, you're like, hey, let me get your number, and she gives you the number, and then you're like, okay, bye, which again, you shouldn't do because you should stay 5 more minutes anyway. But if you haven't established that premise that you got the number to go on a date, then when you're in the text conversation, it's kind of unclear what's going on. Are you friends? Are you romantic? What's this all about, etc. If instead, a lot of times the way I'll close, I'll be like, hey, so I'm really enjoying talking to you. We should grab a drink and hang out sometime. She's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay, cool, sounds good. What's your number? Right? Now, we both know that the number is intended for making plans. And again, I told you guys, what is the main purpose of texting? It's to make plans. So when you know that and she knows that and you're on the same page, it's going to make making plans a lot easier. If she's not sure about that, or she's not sure about your intentions, or you just haven't broached that subject, that's one more topic you need to address in text. That's one more sale you need to make in order to get her out. So if you can establish it in person, you're better off. Because remember, in-person communication is better than text communication, right? Anything you can handle in person, you want to handle in person. Anything you can handle over the phone, you want to handle over the phone. Texting is kind of it's the last resort in terms of communication. It's not your preferred method. The reason we use texting is because girls respond to it more readily. But anytime you can have an in-person conversation, set it up, or a phone conversation, set it up, that's what you want to do, okay? So while you're there in person, set as good of a premise as you possibly can, right? Do your work while you have the ability to see her and see her reaction. She can see your reactions. And also at that moment when she's feeling really good about the interaction, emotionally aroused, all those kind of things, okay? So set that premise. It's going to make everything else easier.